Hey everybody, welcome to our little office hours for our new grant management system here. We're excited for it. New things can be daunting, so we just want to make sure everyone has the tools they need to access the system and feel good in there. So, um, first off, I want to make sure you can either raise your hand on screen or unmute yourself and let me know. Was everyone able to find the sort of step-by-step guide as well as the link to the system? Seems like yes for the most part. Cool. Great. Um, then what I will do rather than it seems like if everyone has found that, rather than walking through it, I'm gonna just work through, see what questions folks have initially, and then if there's anything specifically we need to pay more attention to, we can do that. So go ahead, you can use the raise hand function, or we don't have a ton of people, so you can just unmute yourself if you want to just pop in with any issues you're having. CJ.
There we go. Hi. So I went in and registered our organization, and because it asked for a signing authority, I put the name of our CFO. Now, how do I get in? When I try to, uh, I don't have his, I mean, I don't know if he's done a password. Anyway, I need to get in as me. So I tried to register, but it wants me to re-register the organization. I need to get in and I don't know how to do it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. So presumably, if you put in the signing authority, the email address for the person who is the signing authority, that person will need to log into the system. I think they should have the confirmation email, so that they'll finish their setup. So they'll need to log in. And once you're logged in, you can find your organization information, scroll down to the bottom, there's a contact section, and that's where you can add other people in the organization. So you'll work with that person to get you signed up as a user in the system from that contact section. Um, you'll send an invitation to yourself, and then you'll confirm yourself as a user, and same process for other users as well.
Okay, I'm gonna try that this afternoon. If I have any problem, can I come back to you and say help? Because I'm anxious to get in as soon as possible, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can email questions to admin@nbrc.gov. We're watching that really closely. And then we've got another office hours on Thursday as well. So you can feel free to reach out to us either way. Angela, it looked like you had maybe your hand up.
Yeah, so we have an account in there and I put my password in and everything, the email and stuff. And then a big box comes up, says warning, 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 and goes all through that. And I click on it and agree to it, but then I don't go to my account.
Oh, it's hard to say. I'm not a technical wizard on this stuff at all. Anyway, like I'm kind of have been learning it too. You might want to try. I, when we were testing, I encountered having to I click on that box. I had to put my information in again and click on the box again, and then I was able to get in. So it might be the same issue with you.
Okay.
Um, give that a go. See if that works. If you're still having issues. What we do have a technical support team on the system side, the people who are really smart and can help us troubleshoot. If you can describe kind of what happens if you're able to screenshot any of what's happening, that's really helpful for us to be able to pass along to them. Um, and so yes, so give that a go. Let us know if you have any continue to have any issues with it.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Jen.
So I have a question as an LDD. Is this the right place for it?
Yeah, shoot.
Okay, so my organization is registering because we also are a grant recipient. And excuse me. So I can be registered, I will be registered under my organization. But I also am directly assisting applicants from other organizations. So for example, Angela and I are working together. If I want to be able to help Angela do things in the portal, can she, would she have to add me to her registration? Or would it make more sense? I don't know, because but I will already be registered under my organization. So I don't know how that might work. Or if it's best for me to just say to her, okay, here, this is what you need to do, and not actually go in and.
So it's a little bit tricky for the LDDs who are also requesting funding. So we may have some additional context that we're providing after the fact here. That being said, for the moment, did you receive a direct
We're
as
not,
an
I'm sorry, I
LD?
think I misspoke. We're not an applicant this year. We have received funding from, so our organization could be an applicant again in the future, but so we're kind of like, we're registering in the system anyway, because we have funds that we're using right now that are NBRC funds.
Okay. Sorry. Let me back
So
up for a moment. So, for currently, we are not, the only grantees that are going into the system are the ones that are going to be applying for funding in this upcoming round
Okay.
of funding. And so everything from 2023 back is going to be we're going to handle it the sort of standard way that we have been. So none of that is changing at the moment.
Okay. But then, I actually have a number of different nonprofits and municipalities that I'm working with. So if there are like 5 different ones that needed assistance, can I get into their portals, or do they need to, and I would just.
So we have a specific functionality built into the system for the LDDs to help review
Okay.
applications and things like that from applicants. I think we're gonna have some supplemental guidance and training in terms of kind of the step-by-step on how to move through the system that way. That'll be closer to once we've kind of gotten more of our pre-applications in. That's kind of further along in the grant process. So we'll follow up with you out that. We'll make a note specifically to follow back up on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Casey, I'm just going to add on a little more guidance on that. If you do decide that your LDD wants to register and apply for funding, you will need to make sure that you use an email account that is unique and not associated with your LDD function as assisting applicants. So we have sent an invitation to all the registered or opted in LDDs.
I didn't get it. I didn't get one. I got the message saying there would be one, but I never received the actual invitation.
Yeah, we recognize that that's happened to a couple of people and we're looking into it. But that's just an important thing to note, is that you would have to use 2 separate email addresses. One for your own personal submitting an application account, and one for your providing technical assistance to other grantees.
Okay, that's easy enough. Thank you.
So, Bill Dowie, I have a couple of questions. We were looking at the website and looking for the program user manual, and we didn't see that or find a reference to it or anywhere we could click on to get a copy of that.
Great. And so which is this for the Catalyst program or a different program?
Correct, for the Catalyst program.
So that one is sorry, I'm gonna have you jump in because I'm not as familiar specifically with the website route.
Yep, no problem. That is, if you are on the Catalyst page, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's a whole list of different links to documents, and you will find the user manual in that link.
Okay, thank you. And then the next question is, when we have to submit an SBW, and for the justification and the document, we register on that form, but then how do we submit that form, and then how do we submit the supporting documentation?
So at the pre-application stage, we do not require the SF-424 CBW form. So that is different this year. You do not need to submit that form with your pre-application. There are two budget questions within the pre-application that you will see when you log in and start filling out the pre-application. One of those is a budget table that looks like the SF-424 CBW in terms of the same budget categories. And so you will want to be prepared to enter your estimated budget information by category within the pre-application system. There's also a budget narrative question that includes where you will describe expenses above $5,000 within each category and also provide the match and cost share amounts and sources. So that is all embedded within the pre-application, and there are no additional documents that you need to upload related to the budget.
And so thank you for that. What was the form again? That we will be, is this the primary registration form?
No, sorry, go ahead. Do you want?
Adrian, I think, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you say the SBW, so a significant benefit waiver?
Oh.
Or did you say a CBW, which is a budget form?
I said an SBW.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Thanks, Sarah.
Significant.
I totally misheard that question. I apologize. So you got more information than you were asking for.
So Bill, that also happens in the pre-application phase. It's not something you need to worry about during your registration. There is a document on our website that talks about and walks you through the whole pre-application phase, and that information will be covered in that phase of your application process. It's the GMS is designed so that you can upload documents right into that system. So you will see how to do that once the pre-application phase has started.
So we register and then we do a pre-application?
That's right. Registration has to happen first. That sets up your user account in the grants management system.
Right. So once we've registered, then we go and do the submission of the form that you're talking about.
That's right. That's when you could, after you have registered, you will be able to start your pre-application.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And just to kind of, sorry, no, go ahead, Bill.
I was just making, well, I guess you may have, the answer may have been given to me and I didn't quite hear it. But when we do when we go to the form after we've registered, I'm assuming that there are buttons that we push there just to make the submission. Is that correct?
So on our website is so just like we have kind of the step-by-step guide to register your account. There is also a step-by-step guide for submitting a pre-application. And so that kind of walks you through, it's got screenshots, it kind of shows you where the buttons are and kind of where to fill things out. So just to give you an example of what that looks like, and I see CJ's question in the chat about how to upload the LDD waiver. So I'll kind of tie those in together real quick. So I'm going to share my screen. So when you do get logged in and approved, it's not going to look, oh wait. Are we seeing a blank screen here?
No, I can see your screen. Task summary
Okay.
by phase, task summary due date.
Fantastic. All right, so this is not exactly what it'll look like, relatively close. So you'll come to a page similar to this once you've gotten your account approved and you're logged in. I'm gonna just super high level again. I recommend you look at the step by step. That's gonna give you all the nitty gritty details. But let me just open up. So you're gonna walk through the steps to kind of start your pre-application phase. CJ, once you've started a pre-application, and you're kind of in it and you're uploading, filling stuff out and uploading things, and you've determined that you need a particular waiver, you're gonna go to the files. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong tab. One moment. So it'll look closer to this. So there's a Forms and Files tab with a supporting documents checklist. So that has the waiver templates that you'll need. Like if you determine that you need an LDD waiver or a significant benefit waiver, all of those are in that Forms and Files. You'll click the link to download the template to it, goes onto your computer. You'll fill that out and then you'll upload it back in the system in that same tab. So that's just a sort of a quick and dirty run through of that. Again, there's more detailed instructions on kind of navigating through everything on our website under that pre-application guidance. And just sort of a reminder, we're not beholden to just sticking with user registration things this meeting, but that's why we've kind of prioritizing at the moment. We do have 2 sets of office hour times next week as well to go over more specifically the pre-application stuff. So take a look at that. Let us know what question you have, and join us again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Fred.
Hi, how you doing, Casey?
Doing well.
Some clarifications for LDDs. So I also did not get the follow-up email as a lead contact of an LDD to go ahead and register. So I need to get that.
Yes.
And just for clarification, did you say that once we do register, we will be able to access the pre-applications and applications for organizations in our regions that are applying?
You will be able to, and correct me, Sarah, if I'm wrong, but you should be able to access it once it reaches to and assist with the full application stage, not at the pre-application stage, is my understanding.
Because they haven't necessarily picked an LDD at that point, right? At pre-application.
I think that, Sarah, do they pick their LDD during the pre-application?
Honestly, I don't know off the top of my head. That's something I'll have to research. It will be in the pre-application guidance.
Oh,
That they have to pick.
You'll see if you do, you can look at the document that's online and it will indicate whether they select an LDD at that point or with their full application. I just don't recall.
Okay, but
So
you're
this
saying
is-
that we will not have access to pre-applications, but we will have access to their application to help them with it.
Yeah, we know that the functionality to assist with there is functionality for grantees to within the system request LDD review of their application materials, and then to provide feedback to it and kind of send it back to them. So that is built into the system. It's more just kind of we'll need to follow up with you in terms of specific guidance on kind of what that process looks like. But we've got a couple of items to follow back up on in terms of the specific LDD piece of it.
Okay.
So
and
just to throw in, oh, sorry, I thought you were done, Fred. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
if I go ahead and once you send me the email and I register, we have someone else here in the organization that helps with that whole process, with the LDD process. So I would have to help get that person, send them an invitation or something, you said, so they can register within our organization.
that piece of it is a little bit unclear to me. So Sarah, let's make a note of that and check back in terms of what that process looks like for them.
Sure.
Thanks.
Fred, just to clarify what we were talking about earlier, is that you will need to use 2 different emails for your role as an LDD reviewer versus an LDD applicant.
So I have another monkey wrench to kind of throw in with that, because along with LDD, we also provide technical assistance in Washington County for the MVRC program. And we're part of a pilot project where I actually can provide direct assistance to applicants through the whole process. It's making sure they know NVRC exists, what the Catalyst program is, how they can, what it will cover, how they can access funds, all of that stuff. So it's kind of a different level than just the LDD. But would that be better for me to just work email directly to admin at NVRC and see how we can work that out?
First off, thank you so much for all your extra support of those grantees. It's greatly appreciated. I think in terms of, anything that is maybe beyond what the general scope of those LDDs is, I would maybe reach out to us and we can see if or how it makes sense if there's any sort of system pieces we would need to think about.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Christina. Oh, Christina, I see you got your hand raised. I am notorious for accidentally doing that. Okay, there we go.
I couldn't find the right button for getting it unmuted. We're good. Okay. Hi, everyone. Christina Selvik from the City of Auburn, New York. Just wanted to double check on the timing for the authorizing municipal resolution, if that has to be in place at pre-app or just at final application.
I'm going to request maybe Adrian jump in. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, the authorized official resolution is required at the application phase. So it is
Okay.
not required at the pre-application. If you're promoted to application, it will be required then though. So good for planning.
Yes, great. We only have so many meetings to squeeze stuff in because we're doing
Yeah.
budget. So I'm trying to get ahead of workload. So great. Thank you.
Right. Great. Any other questions?
So, Buzz, you're online. I see your name there. Do you have any other questions?
Not till I go through the stuff. I think I get the sense of what we're supposed to do and where we'll find it.
Thank you.
DJ, I see you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, this might be an pre-application question rather than a registration one, but I'm trying again to be prepared. I've talked to Adrian and others about the NEPA process. So do we need to have a line item in our budget at the pre-application phase for NEPA? And how do we know what that will cost if this is a brand new process for us?
Sure, I can take that. So we do, and I can go over this right now, but when we provided the pre-application information sessions, we do have a slide that outlines rough estimates for both the timeline for NEPA as well as the estimated costs for NEPA. So I will direct folks again to those slides as a resource for that type of information. For NEPA, depending on the project, I think we've talked about how there are different levels of environmental review. There may be a categorical exclusion that applies to a project. Those projects are typically not heavy on construction or have no construction. They're more of our training type projects, workforce development type projects. Those are on the order of a few a few weeks to a couple months to get NEPA approval, and there's really no cost associated with those. The next would be a categorical exclusion plus, you know, like a section 106 review, which is a historical resource review. It would be recommended to have a budget of roughly $1,000 to $3,000 for historical review process. And then third is a environmental assessment. This is when a project does not qualify for a categorical exclusion and a full environmental assessment needs to be completed. That can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months. And it's good to budget on the order of $5,000 to $10,000 for those NEPA activities. So that's a very high level, you know, sort of estimate on timeline and cost.
So is it fair to use that as a line item right now? And then,
Yes, I think for planning purposes, that would be great.
okay, thanks.
Sure. And I think that will be something you'll want to detail in the budget narrative section if it's an expense above $5,000 as well.
And one thing to note, on the budget piece as it relates to just the pre-application is, you'll have, I think, 10 different categories. They're very high level, like personnel, travel, construction. They're the kind of, if you've seen the 424 CBW budget form, it's basically just like the highest level of those. It doesn't really get into sort of like the sub-level details. And so, yeah, as Adrian mentioned, you probably will maybe outline that in the budget narrative piece, but it depending on how you're allocating everything, it could very well just like fit within one of those sort of higher level ones. Great. And so, you know, this one, these, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, you're saying that NEPA review might be part of another line item, and then you would just explain that in the narrative? Not sure how that would work. What?
Sure.
So-
I think what Casey was trying to say is at the pre-application level, there's no line item estimates in the budget form. It's all rolled up into like sort of the total for each category. So it's good for you to know in your planning how you get to that total for each category. But it will not be, you know, like a line for a piece of equipment, a line for specific type of site work contract, line for NEPA. That's within the application process. Oh, there you go, Casey. It's so much better to explain with graphics.
Yeah, so these are those high level areas, and you'll be able to kind of break them out a couple different ways. But yeah, you know, if your NEPA is kind of going under constructions or consultant costs, that's how you'd kind of fit it in there.
Okay, or you could put it under other direct costs.
No, I would recommend consultants,
Okay,
because that's generally where it's gonna fall. It's gonna be the architect or the project engineer that's gonna complete your environmental review. Other direct in this case, I know this is actually not the pre-application webinar, but Casey, could you just remind everyone what that category is for?
Ooh, I'm gonna have one of my lovely team members step in and speak to that.
Yes. At this point, I will also take the chance to direct you to our resources website. We have what we call our CBW instructions, and that helps describe each of these categories. So while we're not completing a CBW, this is a really useful form for understanding what goes into each of these categories. So for other direct costs, those are things that are related to things like staff training, telecommunications, printing and postage. You know, some things may not apply to your project, but these are, you know, a lot of operations type costs may fit here. So I would direct you to this instructions resource, and I can put a link to it in our chat box here, so you have that at your fingertips. Does that reflect what your understanding of it is, Christina?
Yeah, I think rent, you know, if there's insurance requirements, that kind of stuff, that all goes into other direct. Great, thank you.
Perfect.
In the pre-application sessions next week, we are actually going to do more of a kind of walkthrough of those, just because that is a little bit more involved in terms of all the different places you're going as well. And we're gonna Adrian's been kind enough to will be available to those to answer some of those programmatic questions as well. Fred.
Back to registration. I can get to the registration portal through the instructions you sent, but are you saying I should not do it that way? I should wait for your email?
As it relates to just the role as an LDD,
Yes.
I would wait for us to figure out that invitation piece of it. You know, if you're applying for funding, then yes, that can be a separate registration through that sort of normal channel.
Okay.
Great.
Fred, if you want to register, you can absolutely go ahead and do that. That will be your account if your LDD submits an application. Just don't use your email.
Awesome. All right. We've got some time still, so any other questions folks have?
Angela, were you able to get in after refreshing? No, okay. If you can take a, oh yeah, screenshot of your error message or the screen it's taking you to, that would be really helpful for us getting you the correct assistant.
So I know that I'm like registered in there, but if I go in and re-register myself because I'm having such an issue in getting in there, would that mess things up?
I think what we would do is I think we would work with you separately just to see, do you have a pending application that needs to be reviewed? If we need to kind of reject it and have you resubmit it, we can do that. But in any case, if you want to just shoot us an email to admin with, you know, again, any of the screenshots or anything, we'll work with you to make sure that you're all set up.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Good.
All right.
Oh, you're good.
Are the emails coming from Salesforce?
I believe that
The LDDs?
I'm not exactly certain about that.
They come from admin. This is Andrea. They come from admin. It would either come from Casey, who sent the initial one, or from me, who just sent the follow-up ones. So if you're not receiving them, if you can send us an email and let us know. We've got a couple of LDDs for whatever reason aren't seeing those come through.
Yeah.
But
My colleague in Central Vermont just got one, but it came from Salesforce. Says it comes from Salesforce, and it says it's from the NBRC team, but I think it's a scam.
Oh, actually, that one I'm
Probably
looking
is
at that
not,
now.
right.
That's correct. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I just was reading that it says it comes from Salesforce after you
Yeah.
register.
Yeah.
Something about enterprise grants management system.
The one that I just got says REI admin at the top.
Yeah, that's
And
a scam.
No,
No,
Okay.
that's
that
it.
is not.
It's letting me in. I'm registering as an LDD.
Because it says on
Sales-
behalf of REI admin, and then the email address is nbcr.rei. And maybe that's why people aren't
so
getting them.
the REI is our vendor for the grants management system, and that is correct. So that is the right email.
Yeah, well, they need to fix their email address, or people are going to think it's a scam because it
Yeah,
says NBCR.
Yeah, I have a note into them, because that has created in this world of scams that we understand why. So Fred, you're welcome to send us a copy of that, but we're trying to get clarification because we were told initially they were coming from Salesforce, but then I was told earlier today they would come from the team member of MBRC. And so apologies for the confusion that has added to our LDD folks in particular, who were invited to the system a different way than someone who is registering. But we have flagged that for them, recognizing it might be what people will not click on.
Right, yeah. And I just got an email from our CFO, who is the person I registered as our signing authority. And the email that he needed to follow through with went into spam, and it has to be released by our IT department. So beware and look in your spam folders.
Yeah, I just got mine directly from the same email. So that's legitimate. I can go ahead and register using that. Okay.
Yep, that's correct.
Reissued yours, Fred, while I was listening in and in the system, and I did the same for you, Jen. So that's why
Thank
you
you.
should have, initially they were sent yesterday, but like I said, for some reason, some of our LDD folks weren't getting them, so we resent the invitations.
Yeah, it didn't even go to my spam box, so I don't know. I have no idea where it went. But thank you, Andrea.
Great. All right. Well, thanks everybody for rolling with the punches on some of the initial outreach. Christina, I saw you came off mute. Do you have any other questions?
Just gonna say, got the login information and we'll get started today. So, yep, and you're doing another call if we have pre-app problems, but, and those are next week. Okay.
So we've got another one of these office hours, Thursday, 11 to 12, and then next week it's Monday the 18th from 10 to 11, and then Wednesday the 20th from 9 to 10. And that the information for all of those can be found on the events tab on our website.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for making yourselves available today.
Absolutely. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to jump in now or shoot us an email, or come back in on Thursday.
Thank you.
All right, great. Well, then with that, we will wrap it all up. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.